I know this first module because we had to kind of double up on some of the chapters, and I know that's been a lot. That will back off a little bit, so I will be able to interject a little bit more of our local geology and our local environmental concerns in the following modules. So hopefully that will give me a little bit more freedom to do that as we go through this. And the other thing I wanted to mention on here is that I'm going to post the first test tomorrow. So I don't know how you all are doing with timing on these assignments. It seems like everybody's doing pretty well so far. The test has a 2-hour time limit on it. There are right now 32 questions on there. The big difference in the test is, as I mentioned in that announcement, is there's going to be 2 essay questions on this test. So those will take you a little bit more time. Now, I'm going to allow you to have access to your textbook materials during the test. For me, sometimes that's good and bad. Of course, you can find answers, but if you take up too much time trying to look for answers, then you might not get finished with the test. So I still want you to study for the test as if you were not going to have your textbook available. Like I said, I'm rooting for everybody to make a good grade in this course, and I hope everybody feels like you're getting something out of this so far. But the essay questions will take you a few minutes to do, because I want these in your own words. I don't want something that you look up on Google real quick and copy and paste something and stick it in there. I want your own explanations on these things. They're both, especially the second one's pretty general. However, I want you to explain it to the point that you show me that you understand it. So the first essay question, let's just go through these. I'm going to kind of give up what I'm looking for on these. I'm going to tell you what they're going to be about, so you will be prepared for these. So on page 30 and 31 in your textbook, there is a case study on Easter Island. Hopefully you all read that. If you skimmed over the case studies in there, you need to go back and review that before your test. It is an example of a population that was very isolated, and they absolutely did not understand and did not take care of their natural resources, and it pretty much caused a collapse on the island with regards to population, lifestyle, everything, because they basically ran out of resources. So go back and review that. And what I'm asking you to do on that question is I'm asking you to give me, I think, 4 examples of how that relates to our modern day world. In other words, that small island, which is a very small example of a population, how it relates to the situation we're in today for the whole world. The whole world is becoming overpopulated. We are using our resources at record rates. So I want you to take 4 examples from that case study, and I want you to compare that to what's happening in the world today and kind of make a comparison analysis of the similarities that you're seeing in the real world and what they did there. I'm going to put some hints, some kind of key terms in these questions that kind of like will stimulate your thinking a little bit on this. There's one mentioned in specific in the second to the last paragraph in that case study. It's called creeping normalcy, and I want you to read that and understand what that means, and I want you to compare it to today's world, because I see that every day all around me. You all are probably, most of you all anyway, I don't know everybody's background in this class, but most college-age students today, I've lived twice the time that you have. I've seen drastic changes in the environment and everything really in life. Creeping normalcy is a term that you're going to read in your textbook. That means that people kind of look around and have short-term memories. So what I might see was different 30 years ago, well, it's become more normal as time has gone on. So if you took a snapshot of 30 years ago and a snapshot today, it would be very obvious that this is different, this is different, this is different. But living with it through time, you don't notice the changes if they don't happen really quick. And that's kind of today's theme in our world, is immediate gratification or immediate results, or what did you do for me yesterday, not a year ago, 5 years ago. So everybody just remembers the last like 10 minutes of their life, and everything else is just kind of a blur. That's very dangerous thinking because we have to learn from our past. And we have to notice when things are changing, and things are changing a lot, both in society and in the environment. So creeping normalcy, that term that they reference in there, I want you to think about what's going on in today's world, and compare that to how they described it in the book, that probably that's what occurred on Easter Island as well with their population. And that can bring in anything from politics to all kinds of different stuff about how people perceive what's going on in the world. And that's one big thing about science. People can have their own opinions, but you shouldn't be able to create your own reality. Reality is reality. Things are changing. Things are happening around us, and we have to pay attention to those things. So I alluded to the second question. The second question is more of a big picture kind of thing. I'm just basically asking you, why do earthquakes and volcanoes occur frequently in the areas that they occur in? So that's a very big open-ended question. We actually covered that over 3 chapters in the textbook, more or less. So what I want on these discussion questions, and I get the gamut. I get the whole 9 yards on answers. Sometimes people will just write like 2 sentences and stop, like, oh, it's plate tectonics, and they're done. Well, that's not good enough. But I also don't want you to sit there and write a book for an hour on one question. What I want is for you to just basically describe to me why they occur where they do, kind of some of the underlying reasons why, different kind of plate boundaries moving different directions, why volcanoes might occur somewhere and earthquakes are more prevalent in other places, things like that. I don't want you to get in too much detail, yet I want you to demonstrate your understanding of these events, and that you just haven't been like finding answers to questions and just running through this as quickly as you can. That's one thing I want to see in my courses. We've all been there. I went to college. I got a master's degree. I was young once, and a lot of the time I just wanted to get the grade and get out of the class and get it over with, because that was the objective, was getting a good grade or getting that class done so I could graduate. What I've learned over my lifetime is there's a reason that we learn these things, and we don't always learn things just to remember the details. There are classes that I took in college that I couldn't tell you one thing that I learned in there. I'll just be honest. If I haven't used it in the last 20, 30 years, then I probably don't remember much about it. However, what these courses do is they build your mind in a way to be able to problem solve and think through, have a thinking process and think through things. That's what the scientific method is all about. It's setting up a thinking process on how to resolve issues and how to find answers in nature. So that's what I want you to get out of this. You're not going to remember what a strike slip boundary is in 10 years, probably, unless you're really smart or you end up majoring in something like this. But if you have a general idea on why an earthquake happened, today there was actually one, I think, in San Bernardino, California, like a 5.1 or something. So if you see that on the news, say, oh, I know, well, that happened. Just in general, that might be fine with this class. But I want I want you to show me you have a general understanding of these things. And as time goes on, we'll have these essay questions. I want to see the timing on this, if you have enough time to do these. There are 32 questions on the test. Only 2 of them are essays, so you should have pretty good time to get the test done. 2 hours. If you studied it all, you should have time to get this done. There are several of the diagram type questions that we have on there. I have some of those. And you'll probably see some of the same questions that we've had on homework or quiz. Just because they're good questions, and I want you to understand and know those. So don't be surprised if you see some of the same questions. They're just relevant. So that's about it for this video. I just wanted to do a really quick little video just to tell you what to expect on the first test. Everybody is doing well so far. The grades are looking pretty good, so y'all are doing a good job keeping up. And again, if you need anything, just let me know. Reach out by email, and then we'll go from there. Thanks.